Hi, my name is Drew. I'm a student pilot, and this is my journey. Come along with me as I finish my flight training in Phoenix, Arizona. So this week, I'm going to go ahead and cover 3 weeks, 13, 14, and 15. Some of them have to do with each other, so I just figured it'd be easier to make one video to kind of go through that entire timeline. So we'll start off with week 13. This week, I started with a little bit of downtime before my pre-solo check that happened on day 3. I passed it on the first try, which is a big win since it usually takes students 2 or 3 times to make it through. They tend to grade this check a little harder because after it, you begin your solo phase of the syllabus where you fly without an instructor on board. The instructor I flew with for this check was pretty laid back. After passing, we talked a bit, and he said it was obvious I had prior flight experience before coming here, which I had, because of how I handled myself on the flight. The very next day, day 4, I did my first dual solo flight. These flights have you doing a few laps in the pattern with your instructor before doing one by yourself. So that's what I did. I did 3 laps with my instructor, nailed all those landings, and then I did one by myself. I was off day 5 and scheduled for my second dual solo flight on day 6, which ended up being canceled. Day 7, I got to fly a lap with my instructor, but had to incomplete because the winds were too strong for me to do it by myself. Well, rolling into week 14, this was a long week that started with day 1, attempting my second dual solo flight. I did 1 lap on the pattern with my instructor, but we sat in line for the runway for almost 45 minutes to take off. After the lap, I completed the mission since the pattern was just way too busy. Day 2, I finally completed my second dual solo flight. I went up with my instructor for 1 lap and then dropped her off to go do 3 landings by myself. Day 3, I had scheduled for my first solo cross-country mission. It was canceled due to weather, but on day 4, I was able to complete the flight. I went from Falcon to Marana. Day 5, I was off, and day 6 had me scheduled for my second cross-country flight to Gila Bend. That flight was canceled due to weather. The weather out here in the winter get pretty bad from a flying standpoint. Day 7, I was rescheduled, but had to cancel again because of weather. But that night was Christmas Eve, and I boarded a late-night flight to Tallahassee to go meet up with my husband for Christmas. Originally, I was supposed to be in at midnight Christmas Day, but a crew delay in Atlanta had me arriving at almost 3 a.m. Rolling on into week 15, day 1 was Christmas Day. After getting in at 3 a.m. on Christmas Day, I took a nap before waking up to join my husband's family for breakfast. Then it was another nap before waking up for the family Christmas. All his extended relatives from the area got together to celebrate. It was really nice to see all of them and tell them about my training thus far. The next morning, day 3, we got up and drove back home to Savannah. There wasn't much time to rest as we started packing up the house. The next morning, we had a U-Haul pod delivered and started loading it up with everything we were taking to Phoenix. This continued day 4. Before that evening, we loaded up the car with the fur babies and began the 30-hour drive to Phoenix. That evening, I drove 4 hours to Atlanta before switching off. My husband drove us 2 hours to Mississippi before I took over driving all the way through the night, reaching New Mexico border as the sun started to rise. My husband took back over and drove to Albuquerque while I slept in the back seat. After stopping for coffee, I took back over and got us home to Phoenix on the afternoon of day 5. Yes, we did a full 30-hour road trip, straight through the night. Day 6, we were able to unpack the car and rest all day. Day 7, I had my second solo cross-country flight to Gila Bend. On that flight, I passed 100 flight hours, which was a pretty big celebration, finally hitting the triple digits. The flight was smooth and uneventful. On the way back in, I had some time to kill, and I started flying around in the practice areas south of Phoenix. Our flight displays in our airplane show us traffic, and while I was just flying in circles at one point, I noticed a plane getting closer to me. As my traffic system announced traffic 2 miles, 11 o'clock, same altitude, I looked up and I saw an Allegiant jet, which was pretty cool. We both follow the proper right-of-way rules, and there was no issues as far as traffic conflicts go. But after that, I decided to come back and land, even if I was a little bit early. And that is it for weeks 13, 14, and 15. Thank you so much for joining along on my journey, and can't wait to see you in the next one.